For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome. Yesterday, 3rd December, was the 50th anniversary of the beginning of the 1971 war between India and Pakistan. How it began, why it began, is a very interesting story. That's the topic of this week's Simply Nitin. I'm Nitin Gokhale. So as India and Bangladesh jointly celebrate the 50 years of liberation of East Pakistan and formation of Bangladesh as a separate country away from Pakistan, there is an interesting tale that I want to share with you about how it all began. In some previous episodes, we have spoken about how India had used the entire government machinery, all of government approach towards creating an atmosphere around the globe to justify the Indian intervention or the Indian military intervention into East Pakistan beginning of 3rd December 1971. But India did not launch the war, and that's the interesting fact. While on 22nd November, the first of the skirmishes took place on the eastern border between India and then East Pakistan, the actual war began on 3rd of December 1971. And the war was not launched by India. It was launched by Pakistan. And thereby hangs a tale. While the skirmish at Boira and the air battle over the skies of Boira on 22nd November 1971 are now sufficiently talked about. Most of you will be aware about it through YouTube channels, through reminiscence of many of the veterans who are still alive from the Indian Air Force as well as from the Indian Army. What I want to bring to you is the fact that Pakistan was compelled to launch the war and how India outfoxed the Pakistanis because of a major asset it had in the office of the President of Pakistan, then President of Pakistan, General Yahya Khan. Now, I have spoken about the role of the R&AW or the Research and Analysis Wing, which is India's external affairs intelligence agency or foreign intelligence agency in the past too. But in this particular episode, I want to majorly talk about the R&AW's overall role behind the scene to create a situation where Pakistan was compelled to launch the war against India, whereas it should have been India which should have actually made an incursion into East Pakistan because of the number of refugees that were coming into West Bengal and the northeastern states. Over 10 million refugees had already poured into India from March 25th, 1971 onwards. They were a huge burden on the Indian economy, which was poor at that point in time. It was also creating social tensions in these areas. Apart from that, there were many other reports of atrocities and excesses committed by the Pakistani army in East Pakistan. And yet, despite its readiness, despite its preparation for an eventual kinetic conflict or a kinetic action in East Pakistan, India did not want to be the aggressor. India did not want to initiate the war. So it waited patiently. The war was, as I said, initiated by Pakistan. How did India know about it? It is thanks to a high-level mole or a spy in the office of General Yahya Khan, who was the martial law dictator, martial law administrator of Pakistan, that Shankaran Nair, who was number 2 in the R&AW at that point in time, deputy to the legendary R.N. Kao, about whom I have written in this book. You've seen this book earlier in my hand. I have mentioned about this, I've spoken about it. But maybe this particular input about what Shankaran Nair did wasn't really mentioned by me or I mentioned it in the passing. So this Pakistani mole in General Yahya Khan's office had sent a coded message to Shankaran Nair that there will be a preemptive attack by the Pakistani Air Force on India's western airfields in Rajasthan, in Punjab, in Haryana. Accordingly, Shankaran Nair alerted the Indian Air Force and asked the then Air Chief Marshal P.C. Lal, to put Air Force on red alert and also move all its assets on the ground away from those airfields so that nobody is caught unawares and there will be no damage to India's air assets if the attack came. So the red alert started on the 1st of December. It continued for 24 hours because that is the window that Shankaran Nair had given to the Air Force. His decoders at the R&AW headquarters in Delhi had decoded the message to say that the attack would come on the morning of the 2nd December. When noon arrived on 2nd December, there was no attack. Evening arrived on 2nd December, there was no attack. Air Chief Marshal P.C. Lal got back to Shankaran Nair saying, I cannot put the entire Air Force on red alert, which is the highest level of alert for Air Force, for more than 24 hours. It's already 36 hours and now I have to stand down. What is your input? What is your advice? Shankaran Nair was also intrigued. But some gut feeling that he had after years of being a spy, of being an analyst and studying Pakistan, told him that another 12 hours were needed to wait and watch what Pakistan was going to do. So he requested Air Chief Marshal P.C. Lal to extend the red alert by another 15 hours to 3rd of December. And sure enough, on 3rd December, the Pakistani Air Force attacked in waves over the western Indian skies to attack the Indian Air Force bases as the mole had indicated, had reported. The Indian Air Force was on alert, therefore there was no damage done, no substantial damage done. India responded immediately and declared that it is now joining the war or it is now launching a war against Pakistan. Now the backstory is the spy in General Yahya Khan's office had actually mentioned the day and date as 3rd December when the attacks would be launched. The decoder at the Indian end or in the headquarter end really did not notice that date, and instead of 3rd December, he or she or a group of operatives in the R&AW mentioned the date 2nd December instead of 3rd December. Nevertheless, because of the advance warning, the Indian Air Force could take preemptive measures, take countermeasures, and within 48 hours, the Indian Air Force managed to get ascendant over the Pakistani Air Force because it had already got its plans about what they were supposed to do and how they were supposed to attack. The air superiority that India had in East Pakistan was also another factor for the Indian Army to go smoothly into East Pakistan, launch 3 offensives from north, central sector and the southern sector, and surround Dhaka and then finally win the war in 13 days. Of course, on 4th December, which is India's Navy Day, the Indian Navy also played a major part in blockading the Karachi harbour, which is Pakistan's main port, and also attacking through its missile boats, attacking and destroying the Karachi harbour oil reserves that Pakistan had near the Karachi harbour. All 3 arms of the military combined to get that victory in a very short time, a swift, short war, 13 days, starting on 3rd of December, ended on 16th of December, with surrender of 93,000 Pakistani officers and soldiers in Dhaka. Never before this large public surrender had taken place. Lieutenant General A.K. Niazi, who was the commander of the Eastern Pakistani Army, had to lay down arms and sign the instrument of surrender on 16th of December in a public ceremony in Dhaka. Never after the Second World War, which ended in 1945, such an event had taken place where the Indian military's intervention created a new nation, now called Bangladesh, and changed and altered the geography of the Indian subcontinent. It was a massive victory, political, military, diplomatic, and social, where India sheltered so many refugees from Bangladesh, fed them, also created an atmosphere where India could justify joining the war after Pakistan launched it. So actually Pakistan walked into the trap of launching the war. It was constantly saying to the world that India will launch a war. India is the aggressor. India is doing maneuvers on our borders, both along the western sector as well as in the eastern sector. And India is the bigger country. It is going to be the aggressor. Instead of that, it actually was forced to launch those air attacks because India had patience. India was hoping to lure the Pakistanis into this trap. And that's exactly what happened 50 years ago. That's the tale of that particular mole in Yahya Khan's office. There's another person, two people actually I want to mention, apart from R&AW, Shankaran Nair, but there are two other people who need special mention. Phanishwar Nath Banerjee, alias Nath Babu, who was India's man for R&AW as well as the Intelligence Bureau based in Calcutta, who was the key link between the R&AW and the Bangladeshi leadership. He was so close to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman that his son, who was at one time my boss, Bobby Banerjee, in the Telegraph newspaper in the early 90s, tells me, and I've written this in this book, please do go and read, that when Bobby Banerjee, who was a teenager in 1974, went to meet the Mujib family after Bangladesh became free and Sheikh Mujib was, of course, the supreme leader in Bangladesh. Mujib himself told him that it was only your father besides my own family who had access to my bedroom any time of the day, because I and he had developed such close trust. And I shared everything with him, the plans for Bangladesh's independence or East Pakistan's independence, also what he had in mind, and all the plans that Mujib would share with P.N. Banerjee or Nath Babu were then shared with the R&AW headquarters, subsequently with the government. And based on those discussions and conversations, India formulated its strategy. Of course, Mujib was arrested on 25th of March 1971, but the other leadership, other leaders of the Awami League, Mujib's deputies, were also equally comfortable with Nath Babu. Why do I say Nath Babu? Because P.N. Banerjee, who mysteriously died of an heart attack in 1974 in Dhaka's Intercontinental Hotel, just 3 years after Bangladesh got independence, had two passports. This is what Bobby tells me, that one passport was in the name of P.N. Banerjee, the other was in the name of some Nath, P. Nath. Now, that passport and that identity became known to everybody in East Pakistan, and even in the Pakistani establishment, he was known as a trader, as a investment banker or investment influential person by the name of P. Nath. So what he did was that Phanishwar Nath Banerjee, instead of that, he had P. Nath as the name on the second passport. He had frequent visits to Bangladesh. He had met Mujib a number of times from 1965 onwards. It wasn't an overnight friendship. So that man's contribution remains seminal to what happened in those 8 or 9 months in 1971 or even before that. And there was another army officer, apart from everybody that you know, General Sam Manekshaw, Jagjit Singh Arora, Lieutenant General Jagjit Singh Arora, and others. Major General S.S. Uban, who was the chief of the Special Frontier Force under the R&AW, was the man who trained more than 6,000 Mukti Jodhas or freedom fighters, the Bengali origin fighters, members of the Awami League, student leaders, youth activists. They were all trained in different camps in Northeast India under the leadership of Major General S.S. Uban. These are the 2 or 3 people one must always remember when we talk about the 1971 triumph that India now is celebrating from 3rd December to 16th December. That's all I have this week. You know you will get interesting facts on this program. Do keep writing to us. I need not keep saying that you have to subscribe to our channel if you want to get alerts. If you're a new viewer, do that. If you're an old viewer, please spread the word to your friends and families, your students, your peers, your seniors, your juniors, everyone, so that we soon cross our subscriber base from the current whatever 91,000 or 92,000 plus subscribers that we have on YouTube, beyond 100,000 subscribers. Keep sending feedback. We will take them on board. And I know that you have a lot of requests and demands for various topics, which we'll try and accommodate whenever possible. Until the next time, it's goodbye.